all two sides to every conversation. There's the practical side, which is the objective, to get something accomplished in the conversation. And then there's the personal side, the balance between the task and the relationship. Neither one can be ignored for sustainable activity in communities of people. And so while what I'm going to share with you today is leadership topic, it is actually a life topic. So this same thing would apply for any kind of conversation that you would have with anyone where there's mutual respect and there might be some issue to handle. All right. So think about it in that context, even though the lens we're going to put it through is leadership. So first thing is, of course, anyone can lead. This is not a DNA thing. Right? I mean, it's only a DNA thing from the standpoint that everybody has the capacity to lead. Everybody has their own set of tools that apply to leadership. But in the big picture, truthfully, leadership is a heart condition, right? And this comes to speaking the truth in love. If you learn how to pay attention to the relationship in a discussion, regardless of how difficult it is, and I'm not saying you'll always do it well. I certainly don't, but at least I know what to do. And so more often than not, I'll get the recipe right. But it's not difficult to do. And when your heart is in the right place, you don't have to be accountable for having the perfect words because your heart is felt, right? And that is such an important thing. So it's a heart condition. It's also an embracing of responsibility, right? That's truly, those two things have to happen first from a servant leadership mentality. And then it's really the willingness to serve. Those three things, anyone can lead because true leadership is service. And so it's not about like, I get it that in our culture, what is promoted as leadership is the dominant power, charismatic figures. I get that, right? And that is a style. I'm not going to say that's a very sustainable style if you don't have the rest behind it, right? So yeah, things can happen in that way, but often at the expense of relationship, which equals non-sustainability. You cannot do things at the expense of relationship. In our work, I just do not believe in putting business before a relationship. I will take care of the relationship first. That's just what I will do. That's just my nature. I never tell you what to do. I share my experience and what I've learned and what's been effective and what's helped people I've mentored over the years. And then you do what you want with it because I respect your individuality and what you choose to do. So the key to sustainable leadership is to grow people. If you really think about it that way, what are businesses? All businesses are just a collection of people. That's what they are for the most part. And so really it's about people ultimately. And if you grow people, you will grow something. That's just the nature of it. And again, sustainability is what I always look at. And so there's 5 things that you should keep in mind specifically for the leadership community. Now, this is going to be short. It could be, this could be an hour or 2. If I facilitated you through every single one of these, how you did it specifically, but I'm just going to give you the outline today. And I might fill in some holes in the Facebook group over the next couple of weeks by breaking each one down, but I'm not promising that. I thought of that this morning and I'm like, oh no, I just might have given myself more work to do, so I'm not sure. So we'll see. But first thing to recognize is in leadership, these are not things that people actively think about, but it's what they feel. And what they feel is, number one, why should I listen to you? Why should I listen to you? That is a very, very important thing to understand. That is on their heart. And then the second one, which comes right behind it and answers the first one, is, do you care about me? Do you care about me? Which is demonstrated in behavior. You can't tell someone that you care about them and then behave in a way that doesn't matter. But you can behave in a way that you care about someone and never say you care about them, but they'll know. And so that's really where I come from in the way I teach. So The first thing in the interaction in the personal side is this person needs to feel valued. And this is completely tied to their self-esteem. And this is a very, to me, this is, I'm probably this is the most important one 5 different times because it's by nature, they're all important. But you have to recognize the majority of people that you talk to in life struggle with self-worth, even people who've accomplished things. As a matter of fact, lots of people who have high achievement have horrible self-worth, right? And their only sense of self-worth is this thing. Heaven forbid what happens when this thing now goes sideways, or when they age out of it, or whatever. But 85% of the population struggles highly with self-esteem. And so what we have to do in a conversation is definitely if it's a conversation that is a challenging conversation, right? Some measure of a confrontation or a coaching for a poor action or something of that nature, is that we have to protect the self-esteem at the same time that we are having this conversation. So an ideal way to do that, of course, is to give them a voice. So in all 5 of these areas, all of them are going to be involving asking questions and listening. It's not necessarily going to be about your brilliance, which for me is my brilliance in leadership, because I'm not brilliant, but I listen and I've learned to ask the right questions. And so, praising someone's effort and the way they made an attempt is a great way to keep the esteem up, or to point out good things that they're doing in the process. I'm not saying sugarcoat. I don't believe in sugarcoating. But you want to protect their self-esteem when there's been a challenge. And when they've performed well, you want to raise their self-esteem, because the more you help someone grow their self-esteem, the better they feel. And then the stronger they feel. I mean, that's just the reality. I mean, we function so much based on how we feel in life. And it's not just how we feel physically, it's how we feel in here, right? I mean, which here is attached to here, right? These 2 parts go together. It's hard to break them apart. The second thing is they need to feel understood, right? So when I went through the recipe for the practical side, right? The open of the conversation, getting to the importance of what the issue is that you're dealing with, what it's about. And the second thing is to clarify. This is part of them feeling understood, because you're going to come to a discussion from a perspective of you have an idea of what's going on or what happened or what they did or didn't do, etc. But you can't just blurt it out. You can use words like "it appears to me" or "it seems to me," right? Those are not using defining terms, but letting someone know, this is my perspective. Can you help me understand what went on, right? So that, or what you were thinking, or what made you do that, or what made you choose that, or why did you choose it? However you come to this question. And so what you're using in this particular area, the understood, which again is incredibly important, because you have to realize that in order for someone to receive from you, they need to know you understand them. Otherwise, it's just about you. And it can't be just about you. It has to be about them, right? It's completely about them, helping them improve, helping them do better. Otherwise, you lose the servant piece, because then it's about you wanting them to do something different, right? You want them to do something different because it's better for them, but they're going to perceive that you want it because it's better for you, unless you seek to understand, right? So really, really important distinction here. And so the 2 primary flows, both of these are in 3 Circles Living. They're also in the questions training that I did a couple of years ago, that's in the guides in the Facebook group under, I think it's in the personal development section. Trust understood input. You have to recognize that is taking place in every dialogue. If you want your input to be received on anything, you have to listen first. You have to, right? I mean, that's a power tool in the work itself, but very much so in working through something with someone. And then the second is listen, then clarify, then summarize, and then you either clarify again or you move on. Right? That's how it needs to happen in the flow. Again, that the depth of that is in other content that I've created for you. The third thing is they need to feel involved. This is really, really, it's no more important than any of them, but it's they're all important. So again, I keep doubling back on that, but they need to feel involved. And that means you need to be asking for their thoughts, their inputs, their ideas, their suggestions for how to improve, their suggestions for what they might have done differently, instead of you going, you should have. You don't want to use those words. You should have. That's not words you want to use. You want, they can say, I should have. That's fine, right? You can take someone to the place where they say, I should have, because by involving them in the discussion, they have ownership. You know, those of you who spend time with me, I rarely say, do this, unless you ask me, please tell me what to do right here. And then I'll say, okay, if it were me, I'd do this. Right? But otherwise, I'm never going to say that. That's just not what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you come to what you should say because you will own it, or what you should do. Then it's your idea, right? You will have bought it because you're the one that brought it up. And that is actionable for you. And then the fourth thing is they need to feel connected to you. Now, this one is very, very important. The more successful that you get, or if you're coming to this, most of our community comes to this work actively participating and doing things in the rest of their life that transfer credibility. But in leadership in general, you always have a gap. And this could be 2 weeks, right? It could be this person is brand new and you're in the business 2 or 3 weeks and have already done some work. But there's a little gap already because you know stuff that they don't know. You've already gone through stuff that they haven't gone through yet. But man, you talk about this gap widening, right? When you sponsor someone and you're a bronze and that person is just getting started, they don't connect to your challenges of getting started. They don't connect to that. And the farther down the road you get, the more experience, the more easeful you make things look, the farther away it gets for them to think you can understand where they are. And so you need to connect them. You need to connect them to you so that they understand. And so this is where it's important for you to be vulnerable and admit that you're flawed and that it's hard, that you've had difficulties and you still struggle with certain things, to share your experiences, to share, things that are relatable to them, that they have to have that connection because you are a source of inspiration for this person. And in order to inspire someone, they've got to believe that they could become like you or become like themselves in a higher version. And that only comes through a connection. And then the fifth one is they need to feel supported, right? So of course, making yourself available for them, encouraging them, being a safety net for them, right? You're not going to do their work for them. You don't have time to do that. You have to do the work for you. And it's the old adage of, you can't just catch fish for people. They have to learn how to fish. And the only way to fish is to fish, right? But, it's good to be next to them and say, let me help you, like pull that fish in, or here's why you think you missed that one, or what do you think happened there, right? So you're kind of walking alongside of them. So those 5 points, again, I could have gone really deep and taken the whole hour just on that, but I wanted to give you at least that because you can work on that. And if you couple that with asking good questions and being a good listener, that heart will build deeper and deeper connections through every interaction that you have from a leadership perspective.